Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first episode of Crime and Wine. Oh, honestly, I need us to take a pause. Appreciate the lighting, appreciate the setup in the back, and appreciate my gobble. So the reason I'm doing this segment, you may ask, or you may want to pourquoi me, is I honestly am very much so into true crime and watching true crime documentaries and hearing so and so killed their husband and so died trying to defend so and so's honor. I literally live for it. Like, no psychopathic shit or anything, but if you try me, I know how to get you. I know how to catch you. I know how to catch the catcher. I decided to also do this segment not only because I like true crime documentaries and all of this about true crime and murder mysteries, but also simply because I don't know if this is true, but this is true for me. I haven't seen a lot of African YouTubers doing this or people really talking about stories coming from Africa. I feel a lot of African stories we just receive from the news and we're like, oh well, that was that. And yeah, I just really want to share my hobby with you. The fact that it's a hobby is quite mad, but anyway, here I am. Anyway, so let's jump right into this true crime video now. Ciao. Today, the story that we're going to be talking about is one that actually involves the two things you need to carry out the most perfect, calculated, passionate, and determined murder. Love. Love gone wrong. Love gone sour. Is there somebody else in the mix? Is there another woman? Is there another man? And two, money. Money for power, money for greed, money for revenge. Now, with that said, I am going to be talking about the murder that took place in 2019. And that was the murder of the millionaire, Cohen. But to fully understand the depth of the people we're going to be talking about, let us take a look into where they began and where their life started off. So, let me just have a sip of my wine, child, because the tea, the goddamn tea. Now, shall I say the wine? I'm so used to tea with me. By the way, go watch that. It'll be up here. Now, let's jump right into this. Now, Mr. Cohen was born in 1948. And even though this story does take place in Kenya, I decided to start off in Kenya because I am Kenyan. Even though the story does take place in Kenya, he was not born in Kenya. He is not a Kenyan national. Cohen was born in 1948 in Norway. That means he is Norwegian, or is he Dutch, of Dutch descent? He is of Dutch descent. Let's say that. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section. Cohen was described to be a very enthusiastic child, to be very interested in the sense that he always wanted to know what was going on. He was a very curious child. He was passionate, driven, intelligent, and very, very independent, as he was described by the people around him. And described by his sister, Gabrielle Cohen, or shall I say Gabrielle Cohen, to do the accent and add the sauce, because this is a saucy story. Now, he and Gabrielle, his sister, it was just the two of them, and they were very close. And remember her name because she plays a very important role throughout this story, and to the degree to which Cohen's murder would become such a huge case. Now, moving forward, as I described, Tob was very, very intelligent, very interested. He was very smart. Which wasn't surprising when his parents gave him the family business to run. And in so much as Tob was running the family business, he also got a job with Philips as a CEO, and he was actually taken from Norway and deployed, I guess, from Norway to come to Kenya. And that is how he came to Kenya in 1991. He arrived in Kenya as a CEO for Philips East Africa. And that, my dear friends, is where the story now begins. Now, very smart, intelligent businessman. He's running one, his own family business in Norway, and two, he is now the CEO. But Mr. Cohen was not enough. He wanted more. He wanted to gain more from life. He wanted to make more money. If I had the energy, I would do that. So what did Tob do as soon as Tob landed in Kenya? Now, Tob decided to start his own golfing and safaris business, which was very interesting at the time, because in so much as Kenya is a tourism place, that's not really a business many people would want to do as their first business venture. And in 1991, as I said, when he arrived, Tob was very determined to start this business. And obviously, if you're starting a business and you're very also preoccupied with other things, you need an assistant. And now this is where enters Sarah Wairimu. And I will explain further why this is an important person. However, let's look at who Sarah Wairimu is. Now, Sarah Wairimu was born in 1968. She was born in Kenya, in a place called Othaya. If you are Kenyan, you know that Othaya is not that far from the capital of Kenya, which is Nairobi. You know, you're also here to learn a little bit of geography. And Sarah was also described highly by the people around her as a very determined girl. She's a very determined woman. She was well educated, very intelligent. She had gone to school, in so much as I couldn't really find which schools she went to. Everybody that came across Sarah described her as a very intelligent, very mature, and very understanding, and, you know, woman. She was a woman of substance. Not much is really actually known about Sarah's family life, in so much as, you know, we understand she's intelligent, she's educated. Those are things that aren't very personal, because everybody that met her along her life could have noticed these things about her. But in terms of her family life, we don't know who her parents are. She was very secretive about who her parents are. We don't know if Sarah has siblings. The only thing that is known about Sarah, or is rumored to be true about Sarah, is the fact that she may allegedly, she may have had a child born out of wedlock. And like, you already know as an African that having a child born out of wedlock, that's a lot. You already know you're being cancelled. The neighbors are moving out. They're calling the landlord saying, we're not living next to this immoral woman. And, you know, let me just take a tangent and say that's very sad, because I actually don't think that it's ever that deep. It's not that deep, especially in the kind of century we live in. And people may say I'm privileged, but I still think, and I still stand on my 10 toes saying that you cannot shame someone because of having a child without being married, because you're not them. Sorry. Anyway, moving on. So that's the only thing that can be rumored, or that can be said about Sarah from her early life, because we don't really know much about her. She was a very secretive person. Anyway, moving forth, Sarah and Tob meet. Let's pick it up from there. So Sarah and Tob meshed well together because, as I have described their personalities, they were both very driven, and quickly but surely the business took off, and it took off rampantly. It really blew up in the industry, and the elites in Kenya were really, you know, I didn't even know people liked golf like that, because if I had money, I would invest, because turns out the elites are really golfing the golf. In so much as the business was taking off because of how well Sarah and Tob managed it and, you know, got along together, something else was also taking off, child. An office affair. That's right. Now, I love it. Please, if you know anyone who's having an office affair like that, I feel like that is just so scandalous. Like, office affairs are like right up there with sex on a plane, like scandalous. Now, Sarah and Tob are there doing the nasties together, and they actually form a relationship. And in 1998, the pair actually moved in together and started living together, which I think, after 8 years of knowing somebody, I think that's a good time. I don't know if it's ever really a good time to mix business and pleasure, because I personally don't believe in mixing business and pleasure, because it can go south very fast. But the pair moved in together, and they seemed to be very happy. And actually in 1998, when the second largest shareholder in Tob's, you know, business, safari business, actually died, Sarah got the shares. Tob bought her the shares, and Sarah was now she held the second largest shares within Tob's company. So the two were very much so equals. They were very much so going on, to the point where in 2007 they decided to officially tie them. Sarah and Tob constantly demonstrated a very strong and united front, and even though marriages have their own cracks, Sarah and Tob really seemed to be living the dream life. They were both extremely rich. They adopted a daughter together, and the daughter lived in Norway, actually. She was going to school there. They seemed like a very happy couple. And in so much as, yeah, marriages have their own cracks, and sometimes the cracks would show with them arguing, etc., Sarah and Tob really demonstrated a united front to the outside public because they were very much so in the public eye. But we wouldn't be here if that was the case. So in 2019, January of 2019, it now imploded or exploded that the relationship between the couple was extremely strained. And that is when Tob Cohen finally filed for a divorce in January of 2019. And he signed, let me tell you as a lawyer, this is deep. He filed for a divorce from Sarah with a certificate of urgency. It's like he could not wait to get out of this marriage. And the grounds that he cited for this divorce were basically that they had already been separated from each other because the accusations. This wine is getting to me. And it's good because the part we're reaching is a bit juicy. Because now the accusations that were coming out between Sarah and Tob when this divorce filing was done was mad. So as I said, it was based off of grounds of separation. Now Tob claimed that he and Sarah had already been separated because A, Sarah and he never slept in the same room, and B, Sarah hadn't had sex with Tob since 2014. 2014. 2014. 2014. Now, this isn't to say that, you know, women should do things that they don't want to do with their body because they have to please their man, etc. But guys, come off it. Like, since 2014, you know, having 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Personally, I would have left the marriage. I'm so sorry. I can't do it. Yeah, he claimed that he and Sarah hadn't had sex since 2014 and that he couldn't stay there because they were basically separated, and it was really causing him, you know, he was becoming anxious and it wasn't good for him. Now, obviously, Miss Sarah Wairimu was not going to take this lying down. And she's like, absolutely not. Because now, obviously, when you file for this kind of, like, when you file for a divorce to such a big public eye couple, everybody's now hearing that Sarah, God damn it, didn't give Tob sex. And it's like, poor Tob. And Sarah came out with her own accusations and said, absolutely not. The reason I don't sleep with Tob is one. She said, the reason that I don't even sleep with Tob is one, simply because Tob smells like alcohol. He's always drunk and I can't stand it. And Miss Sarah has an accent, so you already know. She's like, and I can't stand it. And she said, two, another reason that was for the reason of her sleeping in, like, she doesn't sleep in the same room as him. But with regard to the denying him sex, oh my God. Miss Sarah, said that she and Tob hadn't had sex because Tob had prostate surgery, surgery on his dick, and it had issues because now he couldn't make his, wiener stand. And she didn't want to. She was like, I don't understand why I should have sex with him and he can't make it stand one. And even when he does make it stand, it doesn't last for long. So it's just, room and space for being sad and for literally feeling disappointment. I don't know how I would take that in a court of law. A moment of silence for Tob. I don't know how I would take my wife telling me in a court of law in front of judges and our lawyers that, I don't even want to have sex. I don't even bother because he wouldn't even satisfy. I don't even bother. I just don't know. I think divorces are usually messy in that sense that all the dirty laundry is aired, but it's very necessary. Anyway, moving forward. So now, as all these allegations are coming out, now the judge is really seeing that, Tav, the separation, the judge is more so leaning towards, the two should mediate it and try to see if they can come to a conclusion, etc., and try therapy and all these things. And now Tob says absolutely not, because now Tob is seeing that he's about to lose out on this whole divorce thing. And even if he does push through the divorce, the position at which Sarah is standing is that she stands to inherit a lot from Tob. She stands to receive a lot of money from Tob, because it's like Tob is being an unreasonable man. Like, Tob actually now sees that, you know what, things are not leaning towards his side, because obviously for many people when they're divorcing, especially rich couples, the goal is usually that you don't have to give the other party so much money, especially because Tob and Sarah started off when Tob really didn't have this business. So basically in the court of equity, Sarah is really entitled to at least half of Tob's money. So this was a very trifling time for Tob, and Tob said, this trifling woman isn't going to collect my money, babes. And by the time now Sarah added another reason as to why she doesn't like to sleep with Tob is because he keeps sleeping around and she's not trying to catch the AIDS. When that final accusation came out and Tob's lawyer told him that, okay, Tob, you gonna lose a lot of money, he now revised the grounds as to why he wants to divorce Sarah in February of 2019, and he revised them again to include cruelty and violence. Now, this actually was gonna hold more water than Tob's separation charges, because the separation didn't match, because it's like, Tob, you're actually moving mad because you're the one who's even cheating, you're doing all this. And Sarah had evidence for the cheating, in so much as she didn't have the evidence for the erectile dysfunction, because, you know, that's not really something you can evidence, but she had evidence for the cheating. Now Tob, as I said, revised his grounds for divorce, and on the basis of cruelty, Tob actually claimed that Sarah walked in one morning and poured cold water all over his bare body, and she just, like, for no reason, like Sarah unprovoked just entered his room. I don't know why I don't believe that aspect, but it's not about me, is it? And she poured cold water on him and she was like, this is not the end, it's just the beginning. And Tob was obviously looking like, okay, babes, what's up? Like, what provoked you? What was the provocation? Why did you feel like that was something you needed to do? And another basis of cruelty is with regards to how Sarah would talk to him in public. She would yell at him in public, of which Tob actually had evidence for this aspect of yelling, because many witnesses could attest to the fact that Sarah would talk to him very rudely in public. There's a time she kicked him out of their daughter's birthday party, and she was like, this is not your house, nobody wants you here, leave. And many people heard this, but still, that's not usually enough grounds, like, to have a divorce. Like, it's just not. Now, cruelty wasn't enough, but violence was, because that's domestic abuse. And if this violence allegation, was held up in court and it went through, Tob could divorce Sarah and actually even gain something from Sarah, money. Because remember, Sarah still has, shares in Tob's company, and he could, have that. Now, for the violence charges, this was very, very easy to believe, because for one, Tob had an unsurmountable amount of evidence against Sarah being violent. Now, Tob, for one, had a video of him from a night that he claims Sarah pushed him down from the stairs, and when he was on the ground with his head open and gushing out, blood, Sarah came down, jumped on him, and continued to batter him as he was there bleeding. So he had evidence where he didn't have evidence of the battery happening, but he had evidence where he sent a video to his sister of him bleeding and his whole face bloody and gushing out, of him saying that if anything ever happened to him, it would be Sarah Warimu's fault. Now, there was that video evidence, and there was also several police reports that Tob had filed against Sarah, including one of him even looking to have a restraining order against Sarah because Sarah was a very violent person, according to Tob. Now, with all of these allegations of violence from, obviously, Tob, Sarah is not looking good for Sarah. Now, what does Sarah come out and say? Because Miss Sarah is not going to take that lying down. Sarah comes out and says that, hey, no, actually the night that, that whole assault happened, she didn't deny that it happened, because there was obviously workers in the house that could say, yeah, Sarah, you're lying, it happened. She said that on that night, Tob is actually the one who instigated the fight, and she actually did this in self-defense. She also claimed that with the whole being cruel to him, telling him this is not the beginning, that there was context to that it's because Tob was consistently trying to throw them out of their house, and that apparently the two of them were stuck in a stalemate of trying to both sell their 500 million shilling house in Kitusuru, Kenya. Now, with all of these allegations coming out, both of them throwing all these insults against each other, Miss Sarah is really not throwing much insults for the violence. She's just saying, I didn't do it. He actually did it. It's actually his fault. But that's by the way. With all this coming out, obviously the media is going insane with this story. They are running with it. They are loving every second of it. And by the time this is all happening, everything is moving so fast. This is now February. Oh my God, do I not know how to say the month? January, February, March, April, May, June, July. And now by the time the media has reported all this, etc., the divorce case is at its height, Tob and Sarah still live together, actually. And I don't know why. I guess it's because their house is huge. And by the time July comes around, July 19th to be exact, because I did my research, Tob actually is reported to have left the country to go to Thailand for medical treatment. Medical treatment, we don't know what kind of medical treatment or anything, but he is reported to have left to go to Thailand. And who is making this report? Miss Sarah. That's right. Sarah reports this, and she doesn't report it to the police, but she tells all of Tob's family, close family, friends, etc. And she tells them that, hey, yeah, Tob has left. He's gone to, Thailand for some medication. And remember when I told you to remember Gabrielle? Remember when I told you to remember Tob's sister? Because Miss Sis Gabrielle was like, no, that doesn't sound right, because if Tob left, he would have told me that he left. So Miss Sis Gabrielle, she now calls the Norwegian embassy in Kenya. I don't know if that's panicking or what, but she calls the embassy in Kenya and she's like, yeah, hello, yeah. So my brother's wife that he told me to always watch out for against, because she's crazy. Yeah, she says that my brother left and he didn't say anything. So could you check if he registered with you that he's leaving? Because as a Norwegian citizen, he must register. And cut the call. But the embassy said that, no, Tob never really left. There's no documentation of him leaving. There's no, even the airlines have not seen Tob. And it's like, Sarah, where's Tob? As Gabrielle found this out, she calls Sarah. She's like, no, he never left. And Sarah's like, oh my God, no. So now Sarah goes on down to the police station to file for a missing persons report. But Sarah forgets that Tob was actually best friends with the former chief police in that area. And so obviously this chief police, being besties with Tob, has been told that, mind Sarah, if anything ever happened to me, Sarah is the one. So as Sarah is making this report, the guy is looking at her really shifty and swifty like, Sarah, babes, what? So he left and he told you who he is in an ongoing divorce case with, and you're the only one that knows. And so this really triggered and set off all kinds of red flags. And it also wasn't helping that the Norwegian embassy is trying to find their citizen, because Tob is a very high profile citizen. He also runs businesses in Norway, etc. So they're really looking for Tob at this point. Now, they bring Sarah in for questioning, and Sarah is sticking with the story. And in so much as she was helpful, she allowed the police to go to the house to check everything out. She's sticking with the story, and also she's allowing the police to go to the house, but so many things are not adding up in the house. For one, the CCTV cameras that were always on in that house, because they're rich folks, they have electricity, what miraculously were changed literally the hour after Tob Cohen was reported to have left. The hour after, the CCTVs were changed, and there was like a whole, we never, whoop, sorry, not here. And now police are now looking at this like, okay, maybe it was coincidence, maybe something happened and they had to change the CCTVs. But also the witnesses, who are the workers at the house, of course they have many, are saying, oh no, yeah, we didn't see Tob leaving, no. And Sarah is sure he left, to the point where she even described he was wearing a white shirt and blue jeans and carrying a briefcase. And she's the only one that has seen Tob. Sarah, where is Tob? Where's Tob? And everybody's now looking at Sarah funny. And she was actually brought in for questioning 3 times. And as these questions are happening, her house is literally an active crime scene. And for somebody who wants to, find her husband, and for somebody who your house is an active investigative crime scene, Sarah sanctions a septic tank to be built in the backyard of her house. Sarah. Now, Sarah. I feel Sarah is just moving a bit funny. Like, you can't say, yeah, I want to help you guys, but then your actions are just different. Anyway, moving forth. So Sarah sanctions a septic tank to be built in her house, and the police are like, okay, that's a bit weird, but obviously no one really delves deep into it. And leads are running out. They already know, ain't nobody seen Tob but Sarah. They already know Tob hasn't left, so now they're thinking maybe he was kidnapped. Now they're really looking, maybe he was kidnapped or something. But like, people are still very convinced, or well, officers are very much so convinced that we should really look into Sarah. So they now start looking into her phone and her M-Pesa. M-Pesa is like electronic money. And they start looking at, if she's wired any crazy sums of money, maybe something is going on. They're really looking into it. She is the main suspect. And as they're looking into it, they find that 3 months earlier, because by this time now the case has really gone on, it's been 3 months since July 19th. They find that 3 months earlier, you're not gonna believe this. You're not gonna believe this. They find that 3 months earlier, Sarah Wairimu had actually wired money, 40,000 shillings, to a former friend of Tob Cohen's. This is obviously setting off all kinds of red flags, because now Tob's lawyers find out that, this money was wired. They're also like, oh, after that money was wired, about 2 days after this, Tob wrote a letter claiming that he wants to completely scratch the entire divorce thing. He was wrong, he was mistaken. He even wrote another letter to say that he wants Miss Sarah Wairimu to be re-added back to his will so she can be the sole inheritor of his entire fortune. Now, I don't know if that sounds funny or what, but that sounds like a motive. Now, she has motive to kill him. He was going to take everything from her. She was going to lose every single thing. And which is now, he writes now, which is 2 days before Tob went missing. Two letters were actually delivered to Tob's lawyers stating that he wanted to scratch the entire divorce program, that he was wrong, that he loves Sarah, they can work through it, their marriage is strong, etc. They'll go for therapy. Now, on top of that, Tob allegedly, in another letter on that same day delivered, said that he wanted Sarah to be re-added to his will so that she can be the sole inheritor of his entire fortune. Cue the dramatic music. I don't know to you if that doesn't sound like somebody that has literally been murdered, but it's sounding suspect to police because you wired 40,000 shillings. A few days after that, Tob Cohen writes a letter, and then 2 days after that, he goes missing, and the person who is the remaining variable in this entire scene is Sarah, because she has all this information that Tob is gone and that they were gonna fix their marriage that nobody else has, not even his best friend, his sister. Investigators are now wondering, where was that 40,000 shillings wired to then? And they investigate, and like I said, it was wired to a former friend of Tob Cohen's and a friend of Sarah, obviously. And this guy snitches guys, if you're gonna commit a crime with someone who's actually gonna go to the depths of hell to keep the goddamn secret. Now, this guy, as he's caught it, he's like, no, actually, he tells the entire story. And he says that 3 months before, Sarah actually came to him and she expressed how scared she was that she was going to lose everything in this life of luxury that she's used to, because Tob was going to take everything with this new allegation of violence, because it really was seeming she was going to lose it. And he was like, I can help you take care of it. And so he did. He told Sarah that he has 4 people that are willing to do the job and take care of Tob Cohen. And Miss Sarah was like, okay, how much would it cost? The guy said, wire me 40,000, pay them 40,000 now, 40,000 later. I guess that was the deal, but which is a bit mad that somebody's life who is a millionaire can be 80,000. I'm just saying, there's no price to life, but the 80,000, come on now. And so she wires the money, he takes the money, he wires the money to another killer, of which now everybody's being rounded up now. Everybody's being rounded up. And everybody is now saying, no, actually, Sarah, it's Sarah's fault, because all these men are they're rukaing Sarah. Like, Sarah is looking crazy on these streets. So now things are not also looking good for Miss Sarah, because Sarah is not helping her case at all in the least. Sarah is being told, she's literally being accused of murdering her husband. And instead of her literally now stepping out and coming out with the fire, her concern is more that his sister, because if you don't know, the person who picks up the death certificate is usually the one who goes to, have the will read and etc and etc. Having the death certificate, you have a lot of power, and you collect the death certificate from somebody who you were supposed to inherit something from. So now Sarah is very concerned about, Gabrielle, his sister, cannot get that death certificate because then she'll have access to all of his riches and everything of his. So instead of she focusing heavily on the fact that she is standing trial for the murder of her husband, Sarah is busy moving other ways, and this is not looking good in the eyes of the media. So what does Sarah do? Sarah now, for the first time in her life, opens a social media account and starts posting pictures of her and Tob and releasing statements about how her and Tob were happy together, how she would never. But she's saying all these things on her Facebook, of which she could have just employed someone to say these things, but in real life, she's not acting it out. Now, as all of this is going on, police now, the septic tank, remember the septic tank that I told you is being built? Police now go back to the house to investigate one last time to check everything, and they were like, oh, we've not checked in that septic tank. So they go into the septic tank to look, and no. A moment of silence. Because they now found Tob Cohen's murdered body wrapped round in polythene bags, and he was frozen. And so police pull out these remains of Tob Cohen, and obviously they had been placed there by somebody, and they thought they had all the killers. Clearly they don't, because somebody's out there doing something. And the pathologists now go take 10 samples from this tank, and from that they could tell that Tob had actually been dead for a long time, for probably even the amount of time they were looking for him. He had already been dead. His body was frozen, and they found out that he had been tortured before he died. They didn't really exclusively say what kind of torture. I think they didn't want to, do all that on the media and everything, but he had suffered really hard before he died, and he actually died of blunt force trauma to the right side of his head, and that was the official cause of death. But that wasn't all that poor Tob went through. All of this is unraveling. Everybody's accusing Sarah. Sarah is basically saying it wasn't me. The police are really looking into Sarah, and they're very much so convinced that it is Sarah who committed this crime. And all I will say is, thus far, they're still at trial. There's been trials and retrials and what. And Sarah even had to undergo, psychiatric evaluation to prove if she can actually be tried as a sane person. Because if you killed your partner, I feel like to a certain degree, we have to really check, like, are you okay? Is it that you're not okay that caused you to do this? Or is it that you did this and then now you're actually mentally not okay, like, because of what you did? Because that happens. You can get stressed and post-traumatic stress from what you did. And not that I'm hating on anyone with mental issues or anything like that. No, please, I'm not doing that. But anyway, currently the case is still very much so ongoing. Sarah is more concerned, as it seems, for her to get Tob Cohen's money, as opposed to her actually getting justice for herself and justice for the murder of Tob. She's really not looking into who killed Tob. She's just saying it wasn't me. She doesn't want to check who it was. She doesn't want all that. She said, I don't know, guys. Do you think Sarah Wairimu committed this crime? Do you think she murdered him? Because from what it's looking, guys, like, Tob didn't seem to have many enemies. Even when police were investigating, there wasn't many people coming out of the woodworks to say Tob is a terrible person, because for one, Tob was very giving. He gave his friends a lot of things, expensive gifts. He didn't really have enemies, and the only recurring name that kept on coming up was Sarah. Now, I don't know. Anyway, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this first episode of this new segment. I really enjoyed doing the research, and I'm actually very sorry it took so long to get this video up. Is because I recorded and then it deleted itself, and then it was like, I was just so, like, everything formatted. I was just so tired. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And this was even after I'd already posted the promotional videos. And thank you so much, guys, for all of the support I got from that promotional video. You guys are really the best. Anyway, I already finished this wine. I don't know why. I think I was holding the glass for aesthetics at a point, because I drank it with my chest. Anyway, guys, I really hope you comment down below if you want me to do any stories from within Africa. I've decided I'm actually going to just be doing African countries. But obviously, if there's like an amazing case that I have to do from somewhere else, I will do it. Please comment down below if you have any cases that you would want me to do, and if you have anything that you would want to add onto this story. Do you think Sarah did it? Do you think someone else could have done it? Maybe one of Tob Cohen's lovers and everything. But even if so, why did Sarah lie about seeing him leave when nobody else saw? But you know, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. So I will see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.